Evening, David Viscott with you. You know, I've been thinking about something that's a little different. Do you know that you learn more about the lies you tell than almost anything else? Because the lies you tell have to do with the truth that you're unwilling to look at. What do people lie about? They lie about how strong they are, how smart they are. They lie about their background or their education. And what people do with lies is they cover up the part of themselves that they're ashamed about, or the part of themselves that they feel inadequate about. And whenever you hear a person lying, instead of getting angry over it, or feeling that they're trying to trick or manipulate you, why don't you just try this? Just realize that they're exposing themselves. And the way to tell that they're lying is, if you think they're lying, they probably are lying. So take a little breath and stand back a bit and just listen to them and see what's coming out of their mouth and say, what is it they're covering over? What is it that they're saying? What is it that they're really afraid of being judged as? Now, the truth is, if you're like anybody else, you lie. That's true. You lie. And the people who lie most are people who are most insecure, or people who are young. I remember when I was an adolescent, you could hardly believe anything I said. I mean, if I was hitchhiking, I'd probably tell you I was descended from European royalty. Why? Well, because as an adolescent, probably ashamed of my own parents, wished that we were wealthier or better placed in the community, all that sort of thing. But you grow out of it when you start to grow into yourself more. How to judge this is an important thing. For example, if you find yourself in a conversation with someone and you say something that's not the truth, stop the conversation right there and say, whoops, what did I just say? I didn't get all A's, I got A's and B's. What I really meant to say is I'd like to get all A's, I'm trying to get all A's. What a silly thing, I can't believe that I said that. Correct your lies. The lie you correct becomes your strength. The lie you don't correct becomes the weakness that you try to cover. Another thing that you can do is, and this takes a little bit of skill, and I don't know whether you're up to it, but it's a great thing to do if you have the courage. When you find yourself telling a lie, write the lie down, correct it, but write the lie down and keep it in a little journal. And then when you collect a bunch of lies, 2 dozen lies, and it won't take you, if you're average, it won't take you very long to get that many lies. Take a look at what you lie about, and you will find that the thing you lie about is the area in your life you need to put the energy most to and grow. You lie about the place that you want to be in and are not there yet. Think about it. So when you hear someone lying, don't be upset by it. It's an opportunity to see them more clearly, and when you catch yourself lying, it's an opportunity to correct your course and grow again. Interesting thing about lies, huh?
Well, so what if you made D's and F's and you said you made A's and B's? Now that's a big one to correct there, wouldn't you say?
Well, you just say, no, you say, I guess I'm really ashamed of getting D's and F's. I think I have the ability to get A's. Maybe I don't think I have the ability to get A's, but I'm really not sure about myself. Just admitting you're not sure is all you need to do to get people on your side.
That's enough.
Yeah, someone who's getting D's and F's and says, I wish I were getting all A's, and admits that they lied about it, is in much better shape with the friends than someone who says, I got all A's, and the friends find out, you didn't get all A's.
Well, it's amazing, too, how the lies just grow after a period.
Well, see, the whole principle of psychology is, the more you resist a truth, the more painful the pain is. If you lose someone and pretend that you haven't lost someone, that pain grows and you lose contact with yourself. Who do we have tonight?
Okay, we have Karen. She's on line A, and she's living with some stress and guilt.
Karen.
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How old are you, Karen?
I really related to what you were saying.
Well, I'm glad, Karen. How old are you?
I'm 42.
What's going on?
Well, I was coming home from the grocery store one night and stuffing cookies in my face, and all of a sudden there was a guy laying in my lane. I live in the desert, and it was dark. There was no lights, and he had been involved in a motorcycle wreck. And anyway, I had no choice but to hit him because I was going too fast, because it was at the bottom of a hill right before you climbed up, and there was a guy standing over him, waved his hand at me a couple of times and jumped out of the way, and didn't try and move him or anything. And anyway, I ran over him, and he died, and I pulled over the side of the road, though, and I immediately rolled down my window and got sick. And I heard the guy say to one guy say to another guy, "How's Danny?" And he says, "He's dead, man. He's effing dead." And I just I was at the bottom of this gully, more or less, with two men that I just ran over and killed their friend, and motorcycles, big motorcycles. And I thought, well, I better get out of here. Your first impulse is to leave anyway. Just go. What do I do? And then I knew I had to call the police, so I went up to the closest telephone and called the police, and thank God for Circle K. And I just got sick, and the police couldn't even question me for a long time. But they didn't get me for going away from the scene of the accident because I went to call the police. But I knew I couldn't stay there and see it because I can't even stand to see a dog hit on the road. And I knew I'd run over his head. And anyway, it devastated me. I was like in shock for a few days, and they put me on antidepressants, to make a long story short. And
So how long?
about 3 months. I was going to a psychologist down at Kaiser, and they said what I have is like post-traumatic stress. And so I was going for counseling, and
It's still with you.
yeah, it's with me real heavy because
Well, I
one
mean,
of the reasons is...
let me tell you how I can see it.
Okay.
First of all, there you dropped two self-incriminating things: stuffing cookies in my face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means you felt you were distracted, and two, going too fast, which felt you were going too fast.
I was.
And then you make up the excuse that it was dark and it was in the desert and there was no one there, so you couldn't see.
No, it wasn't an excuse, though, because the police told me the same thing.
Well,
they said that
I'm not
it
talking-
happens all the time
wait,
out here.
Wait a second. I'm not talking right or wrong. I'm talking about what your mind does.
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay?
natural defense, I guess.
Well, I know. But what you're going through is a very difficult thing for anyone.
Well, one of the things that I'm concerned about, anytime, it's been almost 3 years, and I'm being sued because of it. I wasn't found at fault for anything, but he had a daughter, and the mother of the daughter is suing my mother, my father, because they had leased this truck that I was driving, and my business, and me, and the people I leased the truck from. I mean, and I didn't do anything wrong. I was just going down the road, stuffing cookies in my mouth, yes, and I was going about 10 miles over the speed limit because it was at the bottom of a very steep hill, and my carburetor was messing up. But anyway, the police didn't find me guilty of anything. They didn't. I did have to go get do a blood test.
Excuse me, okay? Because none of what you're saying is...
Well, I have an eating disorder now.
Well, what is that like?
Well, when I was taking the antidepressants, and I was taking Cinequan,
Cinequan?
and it was just more or less to make me sleep good, without having nightmares. And I would find myself in front of the refrigerator, stuffing food in my mouth, eating like I was enjoying it, and I'd wake up out of like a stone cold sleep, And now I continue. It's just escalated. I've gained about 25 pounds since this happened.
Okay, you got to stop for a sec, okay? The main thing you're going through is what everyone goes through when they've been like this, okay? If you hit someone and you kill them in an accident and you are totally innocent and there's absolutely nothing that you did that was wrong, or that you would have repeated the accident again on any other given night, because there would be nothing that you would correct, right?
Right.
Everybody in that situation, nonetheless, still feels guilty. And when attacked by the family, and usually there are suits in these sorts of things, when sued by the family, even if the case is without merit, the fact that you're being punished, or someone's attempting to punish you, touches you in that place where you feel remorse for having done this. You feel sad for having done this, right?
Exactly.
If
and
you
I
could,
wanted to apologize.
I know. Hold on. And if you could do anything in the world to turn this around, you would, right?
Yes.
Right. Because you feel that badly about it. So if you feel that badly about something, anything that points the finger at you is going to make you feel worse.
Well,
now,
I had been out drinking the night before. This happened at 2:30 in the morning on a Monday morning, actually, you know, a Sunday night, Monday morning. And I had been drunk the night before. I had gone out dancing and like something I hadn't done in a long time. But I worried all these years whether I had any alcohol left in my system because I was drunk the night before.
Were you drunk the next day?
Well, I was hungover.
Okay.
And, you know, hungover still
all right.
hungover.
All right, so now we have three things.
Okay,
You were
so-
wait a second. You were driving too fast, you were stuffing your face with food, and you were hungover from the night before. So you have reasonable doubt in your own mind whether or not you were in the
my fault.
whether or not you were in the best shape possible.
Oh, right. I
Okay,
definitely was
that's
tired.
all right, that's what you're wondering.
Well, I just now found out 2 weeks ago what my blood alcohol was. It was 000, but it had been lost all these years.
Wait a second. It doesn't make any difference what your blood alcohol is.
Well, it did to me.
Well, but no, it didn't. What made sense to you was that you killed someone.
Yeah, but
And now wait a minute. I'm trying to help you.
I know, but the reason why
And
they're
you're-
suing me is because of my previous record, because I have had drunk driving.
But you weren't drunk.
No.
All right, so the point I'm making is a point you're not hearing because you cannot hear me.
Okay.
And I want you to hear me. You're going to feel guilty about this. Stop defending. You killed someone. It was an accident. Although you were stuffing food in your face and of all these other things happened, it was an accident. And if you were in the exact same cold, sober space and had a good night's sleep and were going down the same road tonight, you would have hit the guy again. Even if you were going at the speed limit.
Right.
You would have hit him at a slower speed because you would have put on the brakes, but you probably wouldn't have gotten out of the way.
Well, yeah, because I had to swerve. If I had swerved the other way, I'd hit the other guy, too.
So the point I'm making is, there you are. But you just have to say, I killed a man, it was an accident, no excuses.
Okay, and this is the main road I have to go down all the time.
Slow down. You want to get away from me constantly, and the way you're running away from me is
Okay.
no, you got to hear me. I'm trying to take your guilt away. You have to accept the full responsibility for killing the other person. You did it.
Yeah, I did.
Now just live with that. Don't blame anything. You're looking for excuses, and none of the excuses work. The fact is you weren't at fault, but you did it. Okay?
Right.
But you did it. You're innocent, but you did it. Now that's what you have to live with. Stop blaming. The attempt to blame takes your ability to grieve away from you. And you need to be able to forgive yourself, because in forgiving yourself, you find that you can accept what you did and move on for it. But if you have to blame other people, how can you forgive yourself? Because you know you did it. That makes sense. Who's next?
Okay, we have Shannon on line 3, and she called last week.
Shannon.
Hi,
How old are you, Shannon?
17. I called you last week.
I remember. But tell us, because of this was because of your stepfather?
Yes,
Go ahead, tell us.
he just, my mother would go to work, and I would have to have sex with him.
Did you go to the shelter?
No, after I talked to you, somebody from your show called me, and there had been a couple ladies that had called in and offered me a place to stay
Mm-hmm.
to get me out of the house. And,
Can you speak up, please?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Did you get out?
Yes, I did.
Bravo.
I called one of the ladies the same night, and I talked to her on the phone for about an hour and a half, and she picked me up 2 hours later, and I haven't been back.
How do you feel?
Scared because I had to go back to get some of my belongings, clothes,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go back alone. Couldn't take anybody with me. And the time that I was there, he forced me to stay and wouldn't let me leave. He said that he would call the police, that I would be a runaway. So I had to stay overnight, and so I just went to my room and tried to barricade my door. And He forced my door open, but in the time that I had been in my room, you had told me to get a recorder or something to record what was going on, and I set my little camcorder in my closet. And I got it all on tape.
Okay, you got him. Did he force you again?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got it out of the house?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're going to take the tape where?
I don't know what to do with it.
Well, you're at the lady's house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What you do now is you call the Department of Child Welfare and you explain to them what you have. Make a copy of the tape. Okay?
Mhm.
And give the tape to someone for safekeeping. Have the lady that you're with give the tape to someone that you don't know. So you know that there's another copy of the tape somewhere. So if someone takes the tape and it somehow gets lost, there's another copy.
But I wouldn't want anyone to see it.
Well, you conceal it. That's all. It'll be a secret. But what you have to do is you have to make a copy of that. Then you speak to someone at the Division of Child Welfare, and they'll press criminal charges on this man.
He's been following me at school.
I know, but the point is, once you have that, then you can get this man, and then this man will go to jail.
But I don't want to be put in a foster home.
You won't be put in a foster home. What can happen is you can be declared an independent minor.
And then what do I do?
Then you're on your own. You can find you will be able to find a way through this. I'm sure you know that what you don't understand is you have to be prepared to take... Look, life is life. You have been handed a very bad suit of cards. You have to take an inventory of friends, family, relatives, people you could live with, people who would want you to come in the house, who would give you board and room for, say, doing some work around the house. There are a lot of ways to go with this, but you can get yourself declared an independent minor. You can go to legal aid. They'll provide the service, and there'll be some lawyer who will do it for nothing. But the main thing is make a copy of that tape, give it to the lady that you're with for safekeeping, and call...
How do I know I can trust her with it? I don't trust anybody.
Well...
I'm afraid to trust anybody.
This tape, huh?
Yeah.
Mail it to me.
Where do I mail it to?
Care of KNBC, Olive Street, Burbank. And I'll put it in the safe, in a safe someplace.
No one else would receive it.
No.
And I also told my fiance what was going on.
And what did he say?
He doesn't.
He doesn't believe you?
No, he thinks I brought it on.
Did you play the tape for him?
No, no.
Then why is he your fiance? This is the wrong guy for you. I mean...
I just feel like it's my fault in ways, and I don't...
It's not your fault. It's never your fault. You're a minor, you're underage, you're being attacked, and you're being coerced. But get to the child welfare people and do that on Monday.
I just wanted to call you and tell you that I really appreciated what your show did. I mean, to call me back and give me the phone number of some lady that just, you know.
That helped, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. We want you to stay on the line again because we want to give you some more help, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You stay on the line.
Thanks.
Okay. Let us know how you're doing. Okay. Well, we're going to be back. This is one of those stories, you know, that just happens from time to time to tear at your heartstrings, and you wonder, when innocence is violated, is not a part of all of us violated as well? I think so. Stay with us. David Viscott, welcome back. You know, that's the toughest thing, to deal with a 17-year-old who's completely cut to the winds, you know? And one of the things that I have to tell you is that it's better to be on your own, fighting it out in the world, in coming up with some situation where you get a job, where you find a room somewhere, than to be in a situation where you're abused. It really is. And it's not a good answer, but it's better than that. Who's next?
Okay, we have Karen on line 7, and she's alarmed for her stepchildren.
Karen?
Yes,
Hi, Karen. How old are you?
I'm 45.
What's going on?
Well, it's really a mess. My husband's ex-wife is a lesbian, and we've known about this since, let's see, about 4 or 5 years. My husband knew it all along, but he had no proof except seeing her with women that looked like lesbians.
Okay.
Okay, she did not tell her children. The daughter came to us and told us that she'd found porno movies of lesbian activities and so on, and had seen her mother in bed with this woman, and they were naked, and found lesbian toys and things like that. Okay, we advised her to get...
This is your husband's daughter.
This is my husband's daughter.
How old is she?
She is now 16, and the son is 14. Anyway, the mother did not ever tell them that she was lesbian. They only found it out, were teased by their schoolmates, and so on. And I've known the children since 1985, and this is when the daughter confided in me. And I said, well, let's tell your dad and ask him what to do. And it ended up, my husband's always felt like the mother was a very good mother because she has had a steady job, and they've had a relatively, I can't see that it was an easy way to live, but my husband was never settled, and not until we got married.
Okay, so what do you want to have happen? How are the kids taking it, first of all, right
Well,
now?
first of all, a year ago, the son was put in a mental institution because he rebelled. And out of the goodness
Who
of
put him in the mental
his
institution?
mother,
And how did he rebel?
he rebelled by failing, by running around with gangs, by...
And did the mother get into co-therapy at all?
She says she did. I don't think she did.
I mean, did she admit to the son in front of a therapist that she was a lesbian?
I think, no, I don't know about that. I never really got in it. The problem...
That's important. I mean, you know, the truth is that the mother has a right to be a lesbian if the
Right.
mother's a lesbian.
Right,
But
and she should have told her kids.
But she should tell her kids, yeah.
But the problem is this. I, out of the goodness of my heart, told the son, or my husband and I, decided to let the son come out here to live. He came out for a year, and I ended up sending him home to his mother because what I did was invited his mother's bad attitude into my home. He came here telling me how much child support his daddy owed him, and why didn't his daddy do this and that and the other, and he knew all these truthful things about his dad and about how bad his dad was, but never once did his mother tell him the truth about herself.
All right, but he knows that now, right?
Yes, but now the daughter is getting kicked out of the home, and the mother last week called and said, telling my husband, and I was hearing half of the conversation, and I was gathering that we were getting ready to have his daughter come live with us, and I asked to speak to the wife, and I asked her what was going on, and she, made some little small talk, and then she got mad all of a sudden and said, I'm buying a ticket and sending the daughter out there, and the problem is she needs to get to know her dad. Well, I said, I don't think so. We don't right now aren't financially able, and I've just been through a hard time with your son, and he was not grateful at all. I'm not saying he had to be grateful for coming to live, but we're having a tough time right now, and we did...
The issue is not anything whatsoever to do with your husband's ex-wife's sexual preference.
Oh, I know.
The issue is you got two difficult kids.
Right.
And the other issue is that you feel it's unfair to have your lovely relationship with your husband messed up by the mistakes of his past.
Right.
Right. So in that way, you're no different than any other uh, uh, second wife who has to deal with the first wife. You see the kids and you say, how did you do those things? Why did you indulge them? They're so entitled and so selfish and so stubborn and so and so pushy and so unappreciative, and they talk back and they don't respect you. Does that sound like your kids?
Well, but the only thing is that this girl got on the phone the other night and her dad said, "What's wrong?" She said, "My mother's a lesbian whore." And
But that's no. Wait a second. No. Never, never, never. That may be her mother's problem. But a lot of people have situations where their parents have a problem. But
right.
that's not what's bugging her. What's bugging her is that her mother doesn't treat her fairly, and that she and her mother have lies between them. She doesn't accept her mother's lies, and her mother doesn't accept her lies, and they fight over it. And what is developed is a total lack of truthful communication. So what
Right.
she's doing is she's flagging you and her father in a way that she is sure to get results. My mother is a lesbian whore. Save me, Daddy.
Well, the only
Isn't
problem,
that what she's doing?
yeah, her dad just had a heart attack, though.
Wait a second. That's what she's doing. She is saying, here is something that cannot be refused. And what she's doing is she's dramatizing it. Now, it's true that that may be going on, but what it is these are two manipulative kids, and the third thing is you're not thrilled with them.
No, I'm not.
I know, and and
They hate me.
okay, so that they don't belong with you.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, the son, he was here for a year, and
I
I
got
finished.
that 3 times.
Right.
Okay, you don't have to take them if you don't want them.
I
but
don't.
All right, so you flag back. Your father just had a heart attack. This is more stress than I think he can survive. You have to stay with your mother.
Yeah, well,
If that's what you feel,
that is what I feel.
then say what you feel. You know,
well,
you have
I feel guilty because of that.
well,
And I'm angry because...
you feel guilty because you don't love them.
No, that's not right. I
Oh,
do love them.
I know it. Please, do you like them?
I did like them until the conversation the
Right.
other
So
day.
you don't love them.
Well, let me say this.
Well,
I love all
no. Wait a
children.
second. Let's be honest with this, please. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't love them.
No, that's not right. I do love them. I've loved them.
Then
as
why
children.
don't you take them?
The reason I don't take them is financially. I can't afford anybody right now.
Well, if you love them, what difference does it make? You always find a place when you love them.
Well, I don't love what's happened in my home since I brought this son out here.
So you don't love them.
I don't like having the ex-wife sitting in my living room. See, the son would talk
But wait
to
a
his mother.
second. That wouldn't make you feel guilty. None of what you say would make you feel guilty.
Well, the only reason I'm guilty is because I wish that everybody could get along.
But they don't.
No, they don't.
And they don't get along because they're selfish, entitled, difficult, pushy kids. And you don't love them for that reason.
Yeah, for that reason I don't.
Right. So you don't love them.
I wish that I could have a relationship
But
with
you
them.
don't.
No.
So you don't love them.
And they hate me, and they
And,
told
but
me
wait
they
a second. Let's just admit it. So you don't love them.
Okay, I don't love them for that reason.
Well, hooray. Now things are going to get better.
But I
What do you know
feel-
buts?
I'm angry,
Well,
though.
we know that.
But let me tell you why I'm angry. Why did the mother have to tell them all these negative things about their
We
dad?
know that.
Why?
Because she's looking for ammunition.
She wanted them to
Right.
love her more
No,
and hate him?
she's just being difficult. She's being the B word. Now look, you're there to protect your husband and make sure he survives. And you can say no if you want to, but say no without guilt. You just say, I'm sorry, I don't love your kids enough to want them in my house and see you be destroyed by their selfishness and overpowering this relationship between us and causing you more pain. You don't have to have people in your house that you don't want to have. You just don't. You just have to do the best you can do for yourself. And if that sounds selfish, the truth is You can't be loving unless you come from a place that's a little selfish. We'll be right back. David Viscott. Shannon, if you're out there and listening, pay close attention. A lawyer has called in and will do your emancipation document so you can be a independent adolescent, independent minor, totally free. You won't be able to go and be able to put into a home. And all you got to do is call us back on the number that we gave you, and we'll be putting you in touch with this lawyer, and this lawyer will take care of the thing so you'll be an independent person and totally free of your family. Okay? See, there are people out there who care. You know, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could simply respond to people like this all over the place? Maybe fix up some of the things that are wrong. We are the power, all of us. And we all have the power to make it better for another person. Who's next?
Okay, we have Rebecca. She's on line 11, and she's very upset with her father's situation.
Rebecca.
Hi, Dr. Viscott.
Hi, Rebecca. How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
What's going on?
Sunday afternoon, just this past week, I was at my father's house, and he got a threatening phone call from my brother-in-law, basically stating that he had evidence and that he had proof that my father had hurt his girls, and that
How?
by molesting them. But at that time, the word molestation had not come out. Through the conversation, he said he had proof. He did not reveal what proof that was. Later on, the phone rang again, and this time, after the phone call, my father said, "That's it. I've had it. I don't want anything else to do with my middle child and her family." And after this, the phone rang again, and he ended up saying, "If you don't get your butt down here, I'm going to call the cops." My father's a minister. He's been a minister for 30-odd years. And he's been a minister out here in California for the last 11. And it was recommended. We called a clinical psychologist at that time that I knew of, and he recommended that my father go to the place where they were living, which happened to be the exact church building where my father is the minister of, due to the fact that a year ago my father was talking to my sister. She was giving this sob story. She had no place to live. She was going to be put out on the street. And my father, as a loving, good father, talked to the men of the church, and they let them move into the church building in a classroom as a temporary arrangement. This has been going on. It's got to be probably close to a year now. They've not moved out. My father took a member of the church and my husband to the church building. He confronted my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law said, "I'm going to make sure that you never preach again in California ever again." He was just ranting and raving. He was shaking like crazy. His eyes were glaring, wide open. My sister did not come out. She stayed in the classroom. The member of the church said, "Come on, this is not getting us anywhere. Let's get out of here." They left. My father came home. My father has a heart condition. He is 55 years old. My father was so upset. I said, "Dad, let me take you to my house. Let me take care of you."
I have a problem.
What?
What? The problem is that you're making cases that I can't follow. You said you say things in a strange way. My father is 55 years old. So what? What does that mean?
My father has been dealing with my sister for many years.
I mean, so what? So your sister's a problem, but I mean, what is your father going to do about this?
Right now, he can't do anything. He's in jail.
Okay, why?
The next day, we came home. My father and mother went to the clinical psychologist and talked to him. And and then as soon as we came back home to my house, the police were waiting and they arrested him.
On what grounds?
Allegedly child molestation of his two nieces. His two granddaughters.
Uh-huh. And who's bringing evidence?
What we have found out is that the two daughters were the ones who made the complaints. There's 7 counts against my father.
How old are the two daughters?
7 and 5.
Okay. And what did they say?
What we have found out is that they said that there was oral copulation, digital penetration, and fondling.
All right. Where would they get that information from?
My personal opinion?
Yes.
From their mother and father.
Why would their mother and father tell them such things?
Due to the fact that it has been told to my mom and father in the past that my sister is a sociopath and that she is a psychological
Wait a second.
liar.
Why would they tell that to their children?
For revenge of anything. My sister likes to get even.
Yeah, but why would they damage their kids?
My sister does not care. My sister is anorexic. She's only...
Wait, that's not an answer. Come on.
She has no conscience.
Anorexic and no conscience have nothing to do with each other.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know what's going on
All
in my
right,
sister.
that's correct.
I don't...
Wait a second. You're your father's defender, all right?
Right.
All right.
125,000%.
Yeah, but that's not to your advantage or your father's advantage. You should be the seeker of the truth.
My sister will not talk to me, nor will my other sister.
By being so, I know this is difficult, but by being so much your father's support and defender, you lose your even-handedness to gather information on his behalf. To deny it categorically is not, I mean, look at the way you presented the evidence. He's 55 years old, like the nerve of them attacking someone 55 years old. You know, you're making all the wrong points. You don't know is the answer. And that's the truth. Your sister could be a sociopath. Your sister could be all those difficult things, and there could be truth in the allegations. One does not rule out the other. And the difficulty is that because of the position you've placed yourself in, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get your hands on any evidence that would exonerate your dad. Now, have you asked your father if he did it?
We cannot...
Did you ask your father if he could do it? You don't, yes or no?
We will not, we can't talk to him.
I ask you, did you ask him? And the answer is no, you never did. Right?
No, because we've not been allowed to speak with him.
But wait a second, you knew before he was arrested that the charge was being laid, right?
No, we did not.
But you said you were over there when he got the phone call.
Excuse me, I'm sorry?
You said you were over there when he got the phone call. It was your opening sentence.
Yes, but we did not, at that time we did not, I mean,
wait,
we had
wait.
no idea that my sister would
Well, it has
would
nothing
make
to do
these
with
charges.
your sister. Did you ever ask your dad if there's any truth to this?
Yes, and he said no.
And how did he say no?
No! In other words,
Well, I
he
mean...
said there is no way. There's no way. He also, in the therapist's office, he also said, there is no way I would harm any of my grandchildren.
Okay. All I'm saying is that, you know, when someone is lying at you like this, for you to react as strongly as the two of you reacted, instead of saying, uh-oh, we have real sick kids over here, I don't know what's going on, let's see if we can find out more. He should have met with them. He should have met with them with a lawyer present. He should have done some other things. But he clearly had an inflamed son-in-law who was going off all over the place. And in the way the law is constructed today, it's very easy to take someone's word, whether they've been set up or not, and use it against them. I suggest you let some of the heat out of this and you try to see what the other side of the truth is and what these other people are believing in. And what you might do is you just want to, I know they're not talking to you now, but you might find some way to talk to the uninvolved sister and say, what do you think's going on here? I really don't know. It's kind of making me crazy. And that's what you have to do in situations like this, because sometimes when a family falls apart, you get the feeling that the family's never going to come together again. And then you need the truth on your side more than anything.
Not yet, David. Not yet.
Something else just happened that's terrific. We've gotten a psychiatrist who's offered his services free to help Shannon deal with this problem and make her case. So that's just terrific. You people are just great. As a matter of fact, people in L.A. are fabulous. About a month ago, I did a lecture at the Founders Church to bring people together to see if we could get something going to create a grass roots movement to help rebuild South Central LA, not only from a point of view of the buildings, but to help businesses get started, to develop minority education programs, to help children find an apprenticeship program, to get venture capital, and to develop a master plan using people from the area's ideas and help put them into action. And we had an outpouring of support that was absolutely incredible. And we formed all kinds of committees. Tremendous amount of money's been raised. And we have formed our own group. It's called Inspired People. And under that label, there are about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen committees. And we're looking for people who are interested in giving of themselves and maybe finding a new identity by helping other people help themselves. And we're having our second meeting next Wednesday at the Founders Church on 6th and Berendo at 7 o'clock on next Wednesday. And I invite you to come in. I especially would like to see more of our Korean friends, who I think are being a little more isolated than other people, and some more Hispanic people who are interested in getting together and making this an effort that will help put the heart back in LA and make perhaps this area show its pride and its potential and give people something worth fighting and struggling for. 7 o'clock next Wednesday, Founders Church, 6th and Berendo. If you have something to give, if you've wondered whether you could do something more in your life, this is the place. Who's next?
Okay, we have Sandy. She's on line 1, having some problems with her boyfriend.
Sandy.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in a relationship for 2 years with a man who is 15 years younger than me.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
And the person?
Is 32.
And you've been for how long?
2 years.
Okay.
And it's been an off and on relationship, and early on he discovered that he was unable to complete sex with me.
Why?
At first I thought it was something my fault, and then I came to realize...
What do you mean complete sex? Let me get that right.
Okay, he cannot ejaculate when he has sex with me.
Okay.
And then he gets very frustrated and disappointed and what have you. But anyway, I began to think that it was my fault in the beginning. And...
is that the first time he's had this problem?
the first time he has? Yes.
So what does that mean, do you think, when a man doesn't have the ability to ejaculate?
Well, the way I saw it over the 2 years was that it was an issue of control, and he was afraid of caring about somebody.
Well, I think maybe he was afraid of making that final commitment.
And he says that he wants to get help, but the bottom line is he won't do it.
Well, he doesn't want to be trapped.
and but there's a whole lot of emotional issues going on.
I understand, but I think the bottom line issue is he doesn't want to be trapped. Don't you? Have you asked him for a commitment?
Yes.
And what does he say? He'd like to, but this problem keeps him from doing so.
There's all sorts of problems keep him from doing so.
Okay, so the answer is, no matter what problem he solves, he'll always have another problem to take its place, because what he doesn't want to do is commit to you. Well, you knew this.
Yeah.
You knew this.
My problem
Wait,
is how to...
Wait a second. You knew this, yeah? You said
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I know.
You know this. You know he doesn't want to commit to you. Come on.
And I want to fix him.
Wait.
That's the hook.
No, I know. He doesn't want to commit to you. Right?
Right.
He doesn't want to commit to you. What else do you need to know?
I want to know how to...
He doesn't want to commit to you. Don't go anyplace else with it. You can't manipulate him or control him. He's afraid of your power. You say it's an issue of control. It's his reaction to you. Often when men do something like become impotent or have premature ejaculation or can't complete, what they're saying is, gee, I don't know what happened. It's not... It didn't happen. I don't know what to do. You can't blame me. And that's what the excuse they use for getting out of it.
Well...
And she resists. I sit here, I say my best, and the lady resists. What am I going to do with you, Sandy?
Well, there are other issues. My problem...
Go ahead, run with the other issues.
Okay, the other issues is that he only lives in the highs and lows of life, and when things get peaceful, he gets scared, and he creates highs and lows. And this
when
keeps
things get
me
peaceful,
emotionally.
listen, when things get peaceful, he gets scared. Why?
Because he doesn't know how to deal with the peaceful.
No. Come here.
Yes.
Come right up here. I want to talk.
am.
All right, now listen to me. He gets scared when things get peaceful. Do you know why? Say why, Dr. Viscott.
Why?
Okay. He gets scared when things are peaceful because he doesn't have any excuses for not committing. Oh, you could have had a V8. Come on, what else? What else goes wrong? Everything is the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to release this person with love. And I want to get on with my life because being emotionally tore up by people, I'm one of these fixers. I want to fix people. I want to take care of people.
Does he live with you?
No.
Great. Go down to your local florist, right?
Yeah.
Get him a dozen roses. Wrap them in a box. Say, come on over to the house, give him a kiss, hand him the roses and saying, it's been a wonderful relationship, but I don't want to be in it anymore. And I love you, and I think you're a wonderful person, but you're wrong for me. But I want you to have these flowers to let you know there's no hard feelings.
And how do I get healthy enough so I don't keep on getting into this type of stuff?
Ceremonialize the endings to begin with, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So how you keep on getting into this stuff? The woman says this stuff?
Yeah.
Watch this, everybody. This stuff? What is this stuff?
Trying to fix the people in my life or being involved with somebody who needs a lot of fixing.
Well, those are the only people you have control over, my dear. You choose the wounded because they don't run as fast. What can I say? You're 47. Come on. You got battle scars and everything at this time in your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, come on. All right. So you pick someone who's 32. You understand a 32-year-old guy, right? He hasn't quite made it in life. He doesn't know where he's going. He could be terrific if he worked harder, but he isn't sure if he worked harder he'd get a fair break with a job. What he really needs is some discipline and some training and some background and someone to help him through, and that's you, right? Hello?
No.
No?
No.
Well, what do you do for him?
I give him attention.
Attention. This is a 12-year-old.
And he gets to blame me for his problem.
This is a 9-year-old. Gets more
and
more.
he gets to have a lot of emotional turmoil.
Oh, this is a toddler. What are you doing? What are you wasting your time with this for? Is this a remedial relationship?
What do you mean remedial?
You know, like remedial shoes, they're corrective. What do you get out of this, except a sense of being in better shape than he is? You really must feel real screwed up if you need people that screwed up around you to feel good about yourself.
Well,
Friendly, I'm saying this, right?
no, I want to get healthy.
Okay, let him go is the first step. And the second step is you're fine just by yourself. You don't need anyone else in your life. How does that sit?
That's hard to do.
Well, that's what you have to do. That's the step. Until you're fit to live by yourself, you're not fit to be with anybody. Because if the strange part about the way you set up the relationship with this guy, you give him attention, then he's able to blame you, and then he's able to be chaotic. What you do is you allow him to manipulate you as a way of proving that you're not manipulating him. Well, see, he's blaming me. How could I be asking for this? Don't you get the feeling sometimes that you set it all up?
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, it's obvious to me. Excuse me, is it obvious to you, or am I missing something here? It's obvious to us. You're setting this all up. You don't want to look at yourself.
I know I need to move out of this.
Look, I'm telling you the points clearly that are wrong. You say, I know I need some help with this. The help that you need is to live by yourself, alone by yourself, without anyone in your life who is the other significant person. You have to become enough of your own significant person. That's the lesson, that's the direction, that is the therapeutic step, that's what you have to do. Nothing else is going to make you feel comfortable. Otherwise, you will use other people to make up for your own deficits, and then by having them act in a certain way, you'll be able to say, but I'm trying to help them. Why am I in this relationship and they're only taking advantage of me? Doesn't feel good, does it?
Well, he's the one that manipulates me and controls me.
But that's... No. You picked him to do that. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. You picked him to do that.
Honestly, I didn't pick him.
Well, what did he do, fall out of the sky like an apple?
No, he happened to move in close by me. I met him. I had been celibate 6 years.
Well, here it
I
goes.
was not looking for a relationship.
But
once I got into it,
how'd you get into it? Why'd you sigh just then?
Because I had been physically abused, and I was curious if I could function as a woman, because I had not been around anybody.
So you went into it on a testing basis.
Right.
Right? Don't go any further. We have the answer. You went in there on a testing basis, which meant you went in there on a manipulating basis to manipulate him. That's what you went in on them. Let's see if this works out. I've been sexually molested, and let's see if I can work out a relationship with a man. That was your point of view, right?
Right.
Right. So you went in there artificially. He took a look at you and he said, there's something about this woman. She's controlling this, Sandy. And what's more, not only is she controlling, she's insincere. Let me test her. Maybe I don't think I can really relax in the sexual situation, so that went completely bluey. And then he manipulates you back as the just payment for the way in which you manipulated him. It's so hard for you to see this.
Yes.
Okay. You need to be alone and accept yourself as intact. You see yourself as damaged goods. That's the problem. And the next step is to see yourself as a person who is whole and who has your life together. That's a leap of faith. Growing is a leap of faith, and one of the leaps of faith you have to take is to tell the truth. That's the greatest leap of faith, because in telling the truth, you risk that you are good as you are, with warts and faults included. Stay with us. We're going to be back with a lot of great calls.